Good morning, afternoon or evening wherever you are. I'm Paul Clark and welcome to my studio. Now I hope you're doing well and looking forward to another watercolour challenge. Now today's topic is a subject which crops up quite often in the comments here on YouTube as well as on our Facebook group, and it's the question of negative painting and what it means. Now what it doesn't mean is painting when you're in a bad mood. So what we've got today is a couple of tutorials showing you different approaches to negative painting. So come and join me and we'll paint these step by step together. So really all negative painting means is we are painting the background or negative space to give us the shape of the main object. Now this is particularly relevant in watercolour painting as we always work from light to dark because of the transparency of the medium. Now if we are working in a body colour medium such as oils, acrylics and gouache, the problem doesn't arise as we can directly paint the lighter opaque paint on the darker value background. But in watercolour we have to do the opposite and paint in the darker value around the shape to give us the lighter value shape. Now if you are an experienced painter, you'll be doing this all the time without even realising it. And here you can see I'm painting this darker bush, leaving the shape of the plant in front. And then once dried, I can then apply the lighter colour. So the first of today's exercises, we're going to have a go at these three little mushrooms, painting in the negative spaces. So I'm going to start with the foreground here, dropping in lots of clean water and then literally splashing in lots of watery mixes. Now feel free to use any colours you like, but I'm using a combination of sap green, burnt sienna, Payne's grey, burnt umber and even some French ultramarine. All very loose, wet in wet, lots of splashing and splattering. Let the paint do its own thing without fiddling and muddying up the mixes. Here just a few granules of ordinary table salt. And here just a few blobs of clean water to force a few back runs. Next I'm taking the sharpened end of my brush and scoring into the paper some suggestions of grassy texture. More splattering and adding in darker values, again all wet in wet. Ooh, I've just spotted on my desk some acrylic ink. Let's chuck a bit of that in. Sometimes it can give some quite stunning effects. Okay, so now I'm going to paint in the background or the negative space around the mushrooms, starting with some clean water just to guarantee the paint keeps moving. And I like to use my flat brush for this as you can cover large areas very quickly. And I'm going to be building up the darker values here with mixes of French ultramarine, Payne's grey, sap green, burnt umber and anything you want really. But just be careful to leave the mushrooms unpainted. Now working this way is great practice for beginners, getting used to different water to paint ratios, using some very watery mixes as well as some much more creamier mixes by loading up much more of the pigment on your brush. Because what I'm doing here really is mixing the washes just as much on the paper as I am in my palette. And what I'm trying to do here is get much darker values here where the background meets the bank to give a nice high contrast. So now with my trusty rigger, I'm doing the negative painting technique by painting the background value into the bank to give the suggestion of these grasses. So now we need to let this totally dry. So it's a perfect time for a short break and a glass of alcohol-free ale, believe it or not, brewed with mushrooms. So now this is dried, I'm re-wetting with my spray bottle and then with my rigger and some Payne's Grey, painting in a few spindly branches. And now for the mushrooms themselves, and I'm re-wetting with clean water and then painting in with some cadmium yellow and then some burnt sienna. Here is a little burnt umber, and then again with my smaller number 6 brush for a few finer details. Okay, so now with a damp tissue, I'm softening and blending a few hard edges. And particularly here, I want to make the transition from the stalk into the ground much smoother. So this is the perfect technique. So here on the grass, I can always enhance that negative painting technique area with a little pastel pencil. And this is just a yellowy green colour. And then add a sparkle of light with a white. There we go, all done. And it's amazing what a nice white border can do. Okay, so for this next demonstration, I'm going to preserve the white paper by using masking fluid. Now, a great tip for protecting your brush is to squirt some washing up liquid into about an inch of water and then pour some masking fluid into the lid. Now, I'm still using quite an old brush, but I'm dipping it into the water before using the masking fluid. Now, I always prefer to use a brush, as you can get very similar brush strokes as you do with ordinary paint. And don't forget to continue to dip into the water. And when you're finished, you can just clean your brush in the normal way and then simply pour back the unused masking fluid. Now, all the techniques here are exactly the same as the previous demo, except I'm obviously not worrying about painting around the main shape. So with more intricate subjects like this fern, it just makes painting that much easier and quicker. Now I'm trying to get a nice autumny feel to this painting, so I'm using washes of sap green, burnt sienna, cadmium orange, burnt umber and alizarin crimson. But please feel free to use whichever colours you have.
Didn't think it'd go this fast. Goodbye to this house we thought would always last. And this is where Dad's garden grows. Summer haze, my reading plays, and late night tiptoes. And I know the memories are with me, even when you move to a town that is new. Guess I tend to hold on too strong, but you're always home. You're always home to me. Up those gray steel wooden stairs, me and Jess would play pretend of time traveling, company around the table, seat by the windows where I learned piano. And I'm scared things change too quickly. The time tales from mom sing loud in my heart. And I know I'm not alone. You're always home. You're always home to me. So we'll make room for
To remove the masking fluid, I usually use my finger, but Margot gave me this rather nifty large eraser, which looks very much like a small piece of toast. Now you could use an actual piece of toast, but I found it not to be too successful. But this works a treat.
with me, even when I've grown to a place of my own. Please remember, I'll love you forever. You're always home. You're always home to me.
Now I'm painting in the fern with a nice watery yellow ochre and dropping in some sap green nearer the stem and scoring out the centre vein with the end of my brush. yellowy green pastel pencil for a few details. And we're done. All good fun. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, and you give them both a go. They're both great fun and both very good learning exercises. So, don't forget to do all the usuals, please. Like, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment. And I'd also like to mention that we still have some spaces available on the GOMERA Canary Islands winter retreat next January, and also on the RHONE river cruise with myself and Marco. All the details of those are down in the description. So, take care now, everyone, and I'll look forward to seeing you all again next week for another Watercolour Wednesday. Cheers now.